now. Hi, everyone. My name is Pianpian, founder and CEO of Amotions AI. We leverage generative AI to provide real-time coaching and suggestions to salespeople in a call to help them understand customers' emotions and figure out what are the good things to ask or say to improve sales conversion and productivity, as well as providing AI role-play and coaching. We're very excited to have Sheevaun here. Sheevaun has been a sales enablement and CS enablement executive at companies like Salesforce and Slack and RingCentral. She has decades of experience as a sales enablement leader as well as a coach. So we're excited to discuss some of the latest in enablement as well as in AI. Thank you, Sheevaun, for being here.
Oh, I'm glad to be here.
Anything else you would like to add to the introduction?
I am all about giving back at this point, and so I love doing these types of podcasts where I can talk about, what enablement really looks like. I mean, it's gotten a bit of a bad reputation over the last little while, and I am here to say that when it's done well and the partnerships are there, enablement is actually a full-on investment that companies can make, and it is a revenue multiplier. So it can be done well, and it can really help with the revenue of an organization.
What do you think are the biggest kind of challenges that the sales sales enablement leaders and teams could help with?
I think there's a few things. Part of it is the distraction, the noise, the chaos that is currently. It doesn't matter if you're a seller or anyone that's part of the go-to-market team, even enablement. There is so much noise out there right now that trying to figure out what you should be focusing on is very difficult. But it's a whole lot easier when the relationship between enablement and I'll call them customers, which would be sales leadership, sales managers, when that relationship is strong and it's a real partnership, then the noise is not nearly as distracting because you're really focusing on what's going to move the needle.
Yeah, that's true. It always requires kind of a strong partnership from different teams and leaders to solve a common challenge and issue. Now, in your career, like what do you see are the areas that salespeople struggle the most in different stages?
They struggle to differentiate themselves in front of their customers and their prospects. A lot of companies do product-based type of selling. And so they are actively selling everything about their product, selling all the bits and bytes, selling all the, hey, it's important, it's a red button versus a blue, right? I mean, they're selling this kind of stuff to customers, where customers on the other end of that are like, we don't care whether it's red or blue. We want to know whether or not you can solve our problems.
Yeah.
And so most companies to the customers, most of these sellers all sound the same, right? If you've ever watched a Charlie Brown cartoon, the adults all sound the same. Wah, 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 wah. And that's how sellers sound, right? And so the real work with sellers is how to figure out how to make them sell differently. And in that vein, how to help their customers buy, right? Stop selling, help them buy. It's a different approach.
Yeah. It's very much true because we have seen and hear some of the sellers, they kind of focus more on their solution and the selling side, less about listening or asking questions and understanding the need. So
I mean, it's a curiosity that's missing, because even when they ask questions that are formulated around what it is they're selling, as opposed to asking questions formulated around finding out what the customer really needs, what are their pains. And it really is a mind shift, but it can be done. And when that happens, you sound different, and customers will pay attention to you because you're actually caring about them and about what their issues are, what their challenges are.
Yeah. What are the questions or things that that you suggest the sellers should ask, or how they can kind of shift or frame their mindset to be more curious about the customers?
Well, one of the first things is, how do these customers want to show up in the world? How do they want to be thought about? What do they want to be considered? finding out what their ideal scenario looks like, right? If they had everything that they wanted, what would it be? Finding out what they consider to be valuable versus what we think is valuable, right? That's a big one, right? If you're talking to a customer and they don't see value in what you're talking about, then you have to shift how you're talking about it or the questions that you're asking to see whether or not you can create value in their mind. If you can't, can you reshape their vision? And if you can't do that, then move on, right?
Yeah.
And it's, that's trying to shove a square peg into a round hole and forcing product into customers ultimately is going to end up with unhappy customers.
Yeah.
Because you're not thinking about what they need. You're thinking about what you're trying to push upon them. And if they end up buying it and it doesn't do what they really need, unfortunately, they're going to be really upset with you and they are going to tell everybody what you did. And so it really behooves sellers to figure out how to help their customers buy and how to be curious about what their real issues are.
Yeah. It's really important to kind of probably finding the right customers to that kind of have
that's the other thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear people talk about, the total addressable market, the TAM. What they really should be thinking about is what is the serviceable addressable market, right? Not just total, but which ones can they actually help?
Yeah. What are the some example questions that you have seen like that are really good at figure out like what the customer's needs are and whether you can help them or not?
Typically, I ask them what's working well for them now. And I ask them what's not working well for them now. And then why are they looking for something? And why are they looking for it now? Right? So why are they looking to buy something? Why are they looking to buy something now? And why are they talking to us? How did our name come up on their radar? And so, first of all, just figure out what the whys are. Because when you can figure out the whys, then it makes it a whole lot easier for you to dig in a little bit further and be more curious about those things.
Yeah, that's very true. And for the people who are kind of their companies might have various products, very different product suits, and what are the ways that kind of to guide a conversation to figure out like, okay, this might be the right kind of persona, but we still need to figure out which product fit them, which solution is the best for their needs.
That is a combination of the seller, the customer, your support system within the sales organization. So your pre-sales people, right? What do they know? Your content and the information that's being made available to you about the products themselves, and all of that wrapped up in, again, a customer first vision as opposed to just pounding products. So you should have content that says, if the customer is saying they need this, and this, then here are some suggestions on open-ended questions you could ask to validate, and then where that might lead in the way of product, right? But that conversation needs to come well down the discovery, not right up front, right? If somebody says to you, hey, I think we need this, and you're like, oh, do I have the product for you? Right? No, because you don't know exactly what's going on, right? You got to find out what the thing is behind the thing, right? Not just why are they buying now, but what's going wrong that is causing them to do it.
Right. Yeah. What's the burning needs, or what's the
exactly what the burning needs are.
Yeah. And are there certain kind of sales methodologies that you prefer, or how should there are so many sales methodologies out there? How should a seller?
There are so many out there. I mean, there's solution selling, there's Holden, there is selling to curiosity, there's Challenger, there's Spin, there is you name it. There's just a ton of them out there. And so, winning by design is another one, right? I mean, there's just a lot. And so the question to me is always, where do you think you have your challenges? Where are your issues? If you think your process is broken, where is it broken? and then determining whether or not you need to get some kind of big sales process, or maybe it's just, let's work on this one piece and everything else seems to be going well. Right. So it's really, I don't believe there is any one sales process that gives you everything that you absolutely need. They are guidebooks, not playbooks. They are guidebooks to help you move things along.
Yeah.
Right. And you just need to figure out what the right one is. Right. I know that there are companies, a lot of companies are looking at Medic right now. Well, Medic is great for big enterprise type, complicated, complex deals. It may not work for small business. There's so many steps in it that it's like, well, maybe I don't have to do every single one of the letters.
Yeah.
Right. I from the time I get a call to the time I close business, maybe a week and a half. I can't get through all the M's and D's and D's and P's and I's and C's, and there's just too much there. And so it's, what do we actually need to do?
Yeah. And for we talk to companies all the time. So if a company say, hey, we have an issue with our salespeople's conversion rate, we want it to be higher, or we have an issue with salespeople meeting the percentage of them meeting quota or meeting more of their quota, how would you suggest companies to start? Where do they start to tackle some of these issues?
Well, I think it starts right at the very top around clarity, right? Because I think what you'll find, and Tim Ojai is somebody that is really, really good about this. If the clarity is not there, then people are shooting in the dark. The sellers are doing what they think they're supposed to be doing, but it may not be aligned with where the company wants to go. And that's the same with the customers. So if the sellers are falling down on part of the process, it's figuring out where is that? Do they have all the information they need? Are they being supported in the right way? Are they being coached in the right way? And what do we have in place, or that we could have in place, to support them for that? So it really does depend what they're working on. And it's digging deep into what they really need. Is there an accountability issue? Is there an engagement issue? Are they not getting coaching? Is it a clarity issue? Is it, they're not sure about their customers. Maybe they're working with customers they know nothing about. They don't understand the industry. They don't understand the persona. They're trying to get access to a C-suite by using a script that's meant for a junior manager, right? I mean, it's just not going to work. And so a lot of it is ensuring that they're getting the support that they need at the right time, in the right format.
Yes. Right?
For the right questions.
Yeah. It's a really dynamic space. I do founder sales myself. So talking to different personas and different titles, it all requires various different kind of languages.
It does. Yeah. The higher the title, the less words you need to use. Right?
Yeah.
And the more you need to focus on the business, the financials, all of that, as opposed to just, hey, we're going to talk to you about our product. Yeah. The higher up you go, the more it's about the functioning of the business itself.
And when you say clarity, it means like the vision of the product, or
the vision, the go-to-market, right?
Yeah.
How are we showing up? What is our value proposition? Has all of that been defined? If it hasn't been defined, it needs to be defined.
Yeah.
And if it has been defined, has it been shared? Right? You see decisions made at the board level and senior executive level, and it never filters down. They're like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. And they do one town hall. And if you weren't there, then you don't know. And it's never mentioned again. Right. So it's ensuring that everybody gets the memo. Everybody understands what the go-to-market is. And it's not just the go-to-market teams, it's everybody in the company.
Yeah. I have seen some kind of materials from various companies. Some of actually, it's pretty hard to digest, especially for companies that have complicated products. I was reading them, it's like, okay, if I'm a new sales person, it'll take me a while to kind of digest all these materials as well. So it's like all the support that's needed in clarity is really important, but also like kind of how to help them digest all the information.
Yeah, what I see, unfortunately, in a lot of companies is when they bring somebody on board, they believe the first thing they have to do is pound everything about the product into them. right? There's all the products we have. You're going to use all the products. We're going to test you on all the products. You're going to, do these certifications on all the products, all of that. When in fact, what they really need is a cursory understanding of the products. But what's more important is, why did our company get created? What are we trying to solve? What are the customers that we sell into, and why do they buy from us? If I'm a new seller, that's what I want to know. And then I want to know, of the high performers in the organization, what are they doing and how are they being successful?
Yeah.
That's what you need in onboarding. The other stuff will come, right? The other stuff and going deep in product. This is where solution engineers are. This is where your customer training groups are, right? These are the folks that have all that knowledge that you can pull on, right? The most successful sellers I've ever met are the ones who are absolute resource hogs. They use everybody because they know what they need to focus on. It's having those customer conversations.
That's great. Yeah. So it's like understanding the company's, the why the company exists, what value it's bringing, what problem it's solving, internalizing that, kind of getting, I guess, buying into that, and then learn from the best in the company, like the tribal knowledge, to figure out, like, okay, who are the best people? How did they ask question? How did they answer question? And how they talk and things like that. Yeah. It's interesting. We're actually doing the same playbook to build out AI self coach, and starting with tribal knowledge of the company, and figure out understanding like what are the knowledge and insights and best practices that has been accumulated from the company. Often that's from interviewing the best salespeople, or from analyzing the recordings and calls from some of those best people, and then use that to coach the newcomers or other people on how to do things.
Well, you're the founder of Amotions. Why did you create it? What are you solving?
Great question. Well, I created the company 10 years ago, but because I was a new product manager, I just freshly graduated from Yale with my master's in sociology, and then I got tasked as a product manager. I found it really challenging to figure out, like, how do I lead teams, and how do I build good relationship with my managers and colleagues. So at the time, I was making a lot of mistakes, and I was hoping to have something that can guide me on, like, hey, you're arguing for too long with your interim manager. Here's how you should talk. And then as I was 10 years later, after I founded Amotions, I was doing founder-led sales, and I also talked to different kind of leaders, and realized, like, sales is a space where a lot of these skills are needed, and the interpersonal skills. So we kind of more focus on the sales space now to help the sales.
See, that's what's really intriguing to me, is that interpersonal skills piece. It's not just being able to ask the questions, it's being able to read the person that you're talking to. And when I say read, I'm putting it in quotes. It's being able to understand sentiment, to hear the sentiment, whether or not what you're hearing from them is a buying signal, right? Or is it they're telling you something, but the emotion isn't there. And so you got a sense that they're telling you what you want to hear, as opposed to actually telling you how they feel. And so that's what I found very intriguing about Emotion, is because your system does that. Your application says, this is what they're saying, but what's really happening is this. And getting that real-time feedback is very powerful.
Yes.
More than just the words they're saying, right? A transcript is great, but a transcript doesn't have emotion in it. You don't really know what's going on.
It's what's the underlying feelings and emotion, what's not being said.
Right. I mean, so if you said to somebody, how are you doing? And they answered, I'm doing great. Right? The words are right, but it's clear that the emotion is not. So that's not really how they're doing. Right. So, I mean, that's a very simple example, but understanding that is really important when you're dealing with humans, right? AI can't do that. AI can help you, but it can't do the real interaction that we have to do as humans to human.
Yeah. The AI can help with some of that, because the AI does not have their own emotion. So it's less distracted. They don't have their goal. So it's less distracted. It's more It's actually sometimes they can remain like a neutral mind to help.
Right.
As long as we give it enough kind of information on how to detect it, they can help detect some of the information and knowledge.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then help guide the people on that. What are the areas? Speaking of AI, what are the areas you think the AI can help with, like helping with improving sales teams' productivity and performance?
Oh, I think there's a number of areas. When it comes to learning, I'm not going to call it training because that just puts it down a rat hole. When it comes to learning, people learn in a lot of different ways. And it used to be that if you were creating some kind of a course, you had to create the curriculum, then you had to write the whole thing, and then you had to do a video and an audio and a written and right, and it took forever. And a simple mistake can had a devastating ripple effect.
Yeah.
Right. And then you can get to the very end of the course, go and deliver it, and realize I missed what I was after. With AI, for example, I co-authored this ebook that's all about the 7 steps to a customer first revenue organization, right? And it's about 70 pages. And I thought, that'd be great if I could put together little snippets of training, right? Little bits here and there. And I was like, how am I going to do that? I ran a product yesterday. Company came to me and said, hey, why don't you just send us the ebook and we'll create something for you. And while I was on the Zoom with this guy, in 5 minutes, he produced a full curriculum, all of the tests, all the knowledge checks, everything was there by just asking me a few questions. I was like, okay, so that's an example where AI is really powerful. AI can be very powerful when it comes to doing scheduling, when it comes to setting up cadences, when it comes to oh God, you name it. I mean, there's almost everything. With understanding where the sales process is, right? If you want to be able to connect the dots somehow, it's a lot easier if you give AI a really good prompt. That's the clinch right there. You have to be really good at prompt engineering, but when you are, you can get information very, very quickly. In my opinion, the days of the big corporate decks where it's, hey, we are X and here's all the fabulous things we do, and this is our first call deck, and you have to go, those days are going away because you can get so much information from AI on the phone. Can you imagine if you're doing a Zoom with you and you said, hey, Sheevaun, what do you think about? And I could say, okay, let me just get my deck and bring it up and do all that. Or while we're on there, I can go, okay, I am going to go after ChatGPT. I am going in as this type of persona. Here's the kind of information I want. Here's how I want you to deliver it back to me. Here are the things I want you to consider. Boom. Here it comes, right? Tell me about my customer. Tell me about the space that they're in. Tell me about the market issues that they're having. Tell me about the people that would normally use this type of a tool, right? Are they using our competitors? If they're using a competitor, why? All of that can be picked up in a matter of minutes instead of days or weeks or waiting on someone else to do it. You can do it yourself. You can do it yourself while you're on a Zoom with your customer. Like, ta-da!
Yeah. The AI.
Speaking of emotion, I realize I'm pretty emotional about this. This is like, I mean, this technology is amazing. If it's vetted, number one, and number two, if you're actually using it to the level that is possible, right? The vetting is important because an AI tool will tell you the truth and tell you a lie with the same amount of confidence. And so you've got to make sure that what you're actually getting back is true.
Yeah. From technology building standpoint, we have kind of looked into some of these areas and the way to make sure the AI is giving more accurate information.
Right.
It's co-grounding. It's adding kind of documents and information to tell AI, like use these as the baseline to when you're giving the answer or suggestion.
That's it.
The technique is called retrieval augmented generation. So it's more likely to give a more accurate answer instead of hallucination. Yeah. And for And you emphasize like the information like should be real time and timely in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think there is such a gold mine of information. There's such a gold mine of data that is available now, like millions of terabytes. I mean, there's just so much you can't even fathom, what it was 10 years ago versus now, right? The amount of data that's there, and being able to access it simply and having it connect the dots for you is such a powerful capability. Like I've been telling people that AI to me is Iron Man's suit. So Tony Stark is brilliant. He's a brilliant man. He's got all these wonderful things going on, all the patents, all this wonderful stuff. But he's limited because he's human. But when he puts that suit on, he becomes unstoppable. That's what AI is. AI will never replace. It needs the human to run it, but it definitely can supercharge what we're capable of doing.
What besides like the emotional detections and surfacing the right information at the right time, what other areas that you think AI can kind of be in supercharge the people?
I think it can really help with sales process, right? Because it can tie all the information together instead of having to go to all these different applications to get all the data, right? If you've got everything linked the way it should be, then you can say, just give me the information. I don't have to tell you where to get it from. This is what I need. I want to know what the status is of the account, who's been working on it. Do we have any open cases? What do we have, right? Give me all of this. And the AI just goes out and gets it for you. Right? It's that kind of capability that is so, so powerful. Instead of sellers being mired in administrivia, they can really focus on what is necessary for the customer.
Yeah. Sure. It's like kind of figure out what is the right, right. It's a right, where is the right place to focus on the customer and where.
Yeah, the other way it can be used is by some of the support organizations, right? Like the marketing organization. Rather than the marketing organization sending survey after survey after survey out to all the sellers who typically never answer because they don't have time, the marketing organization can also use the AI tools to dig into win-loss reports and all of the data that they might have in the CRM and what's going on out in the market and how can they tie that all together to help them determine what should the messaging be about around our go-to-market. Is our go-to-market actually effective? And if it's not, what are other ways that we could look at doing that, right? So anyone within an organization can use AI for anything. I mean, there's three types. There's robotics. So your bots, etc., your chat bots, typical robots. You've got the automation and you've got augmentation, right? So what kind of AI you want to use? And I believe that almost every job within a company has some process or steps or something they're doing that could be automated or augmented or turned into a bot, right? And so it's determining that kind of stuff. There's companies out there that help with that.
Yeah.
So, that I believe is what's really necessary from this stuff.
And what we're building is a product that kind of, you talk about the importance of the understanding the customer's emotions and being able to be curious and figure out like the customer's needs. We'd love to quickly kind of show what we have, the latest real-time AI sales coach that we have, and see if that's like, besides what we have, what are the space you think we could kind of, what are the additional things we can add and build that could be helpful for the sellers and the people. So this is our real-time AI coach. So it's listening to a call between me and a prospect, and then and giving suggestions, giving the salesperson, myself, suggestions on how the customers are feeling, and then what are the things to say. So let me just show you quickly how it works right now. And yeah, we'd love to hear your thoughts. And then this is people can use this for like calls, video calls, phone calls. Tell me more about what you're looking for in terms of you can hear the sound, right? Salespeople.
Yeah.
Just something with proven impact, essentially. We see a lot of these so-called AI products out there, but it's unclear that they really do something. What are how do we get down to brass tacks?
Yeah. So our AI, it's called Amotions AI, and we have the real-time AI that can listen in customer calls and give real-time suggestions.
Okay, sounds interesting. I like the real-time aspect. What's the state of your product right now?
So that's the kind of the AI that can listen in the call and give salespeople suggestions. So that combining with our role play capability, where we can kind of put in company specific information to have the AI to talk more like a customer of that specific company or play other roles. And then the AI can also do conversational coaching, talk through how should I articulate my value propositions, or how can I talk to this customer about this particular issue, things like that. So just a quick overview of what we have. Curious, like, what do you think? What are the different things that we can, what are your thoughts on this, and how we can continue to iterate, innovate in this space?
I like the fact that you can use live information to go and create role plays for that. I am curious where you're getting the information about how to recognize the emotions.
Yeah, so we're currently analyzing what people are saying in a call, and then based on what people are saying, we're doing the analysis. We also combine that with emotional intelligence research from the top psychologists. So we give the AI some instructions on how to identify like 100 emotions. And those combined is like kind of where the analysis is going. And then we also combine that with some prior company calls and analyzing that, and using that as information as well.
And you've got a background or an education in psychology, correct?
That's right. I have 3 masters in social science, 2 from Yale, 1 from Hong Kong University of Science
3
and
masters?
Technology. Yeah, 2.
I would say you're capable of doing this.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, 2 in sociology from Yale and 1 in social science.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, and did put and that kind of also allowed me to get in touch and learn from some of the best social scientists as well.
So what is the best way for a company to work with you on this stuff? I mean, what should they be bringing to the table so that Amotions can really help them?
That's a great question. So, I mean, our product works without any customization. So they could go in and do the role play and coaching, and they can have the AI to listen to their call and give suggestions and emotions. Now, that being said, the more detail and specific data we can get from a company, the more detailed and specific the AI suggestions and will be. So some example data that we are looking for from companies, including their case studies, any information we can find about who are the typical customers, what their typical customers care about, what are their top goals and challenges, who they work with, and then information from them on like case studies, sales framework, sales playbook, any training materials they currently use to train their salespeople, any of their product information. We can also go online to find like industry news, those combined. And then besides that, if they have any recorded calls, what you said earlier, like the best salespeople, like what some of the recorded calls from the best salespeople, then we can analyze like what makes them the best, how they talk, what questions they ask, how they do discovery, how they answer questions, how they articulate the product. All those will be useful information. Now we could also look at the recordings from the ones that are not performing well to kind of figure out what are the red flags to look for, what are the places where people might be kind of missing cues, or those could be useful as well. But the best, of course, the best salespeople knowledge is the best. If we cannot get recorded calls, then either the company have done the kind of interviews to talk to the best salespeople to understand how they do the work, and then we can use those data. Or if they have not done it, then we might want to do that, do some of that as well, to analyze and collect and figure out like what makes sense the best.
So it sounds like you can pick up all sorts of data and integrations and just pull everything in and mash it all together. So
yeah,
I would imagine then that the more people add to it and the more they use it, the so much better it's going to get every single time.
that's right. Yeah, it's kind of product that will get more and more powerful as more people use it, because we're also getting we're doing the real-time listening, so we're getting the information from all the calls, and then we can use that to inform the AI on what happened and what's the best and all those, and then we can aggregate. I mean, all the data will be separate for each company and for each user, so we're not sharing data between different companies and different user, but we can aggregate and extract like the best practices and the best insight to kind of improve the quality of the AI coach as well.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. Congratulations. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks. It's the more companies we work with, the more powerful it would be. So it's like always welcome anyone who wants to join, like kind of the innovations and moving things
Yeah,
forward.
and it sounds like you're not limited to any type of vertical either. This would work anywhere. It could work in manufacturing or healthcare or finance or tech or education, STEM, anywhere in there.
We are starting with in person. Sorry, 9%. We're starting with virtual and phone call conversations. Our product does. I mean, we can have it to work in the in-person case as well. It's probably less likely for someone to be in a in-person meeting and looking at our phone. It's more like they can have it listen in and then afterward to kind of see what suggestions it could get for communication during the meeting. Now
that would be very odd to be in person going, you're not, this says you're not telling me the truth. Yeah. No.
But of course they could still use our product to practice and do like role play and coaching before they go in an in-person meeting. So yeah, it could technically be used in many industries and scenarios.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you got a very unique piece, a very unique capability there.
Which piece do you think is unique?
The emotional piece, right? The fact that you gather all this data and then you can combine it with how people emote, right? And how people actually show up, so that it's not just text that you're dealing with. It's not just a transcript. It is actually how are people really feeling? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So it's like kind of analyzing different signals that we can gather on that. So yeah. And like looking forward, where do you think kind of what would excite you the most in the next few years, kind of seeing where AI could help in this kind of space? What are you looking forward to see?
Yeah, I think if people aren't using AI yet, they're making a huge mistake. Right? We hear all the time saying AI is going to replace, AI is going to take your job. There are some things that AI will replace, and that's typically process, things that are easy to do, right? That kind of thing. It'll replace all of that. In my opinion, AI is a tool, right? A person using AI is going to be much faster, quicker on the draw, able to have more detail, more aligned than someone who's not.
Yeah.
And that person is going to get the jump. They're the ones who are going to get the attention of their customers, they're the ones who are going to hit their quota faster because they're using a tool that really supports what it is they want to do without removing that human element, that element of intuition, that element of connection, that element that AI just cannot do, right? That is really important. It's a combination of both. So it's people stop freaking out about AI.
Yeah.
Right? Am I nervous about how it could be used in horrible ways? Of course. But almost everything we've had in our whole lifetime can be used in horrible ways. There's just another new one that does it faster. Right? So it's, as long as it's being used ethically, then it will continue to change the world like it's doing now.
Yeah. Yeah, they're very much true. I mean, there are some theories and some talks about like AI is going to automating sales and taking place of sales. What are your thoughts on this kind of space?
It's not going to take the place of sales. It will take the place of some of the grunt work. It's like, it's always the same thing. I always have to do it. It's, have an AI do it instead. Get a workflow where AI handles all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Do the workflows, learn how to do that, learn how to do prompt engineering, learn how to do those kinds of things. It's not going to replace people. It may replace certain types of jobs. If the job is only a process job, moving papers around, filing stuff, then yeah, it's probably going to replace that. Right? Because everything's digital now. It's not, it isn't paper-based anymore. I still print everything off, but that's because I'm old school, right? I love to, go and sit in my chair and flip through pages, right? As opposed to sitting and looking at my laptop all the time. So it's not going to replace people. It's going to replace functions and certain processes. That's where I see it going.
Yeah, because you think
what it also does is it opens up the ability for people to do other things. If somebody maybe can only work on 2 projects, maybe now they can work on 4 without having to put more time in because AI is, they've offloaded some of the burden over here.
Yeah. And you think like some of the sales they still need human because ultimately it's kind of the relationship is necessary.
I think the craving that humans have for connection will always be there. And in fact, what I predict is over the next couple of years, face-to-face is going to go back to where people are going to feel the most secure. Because if you and I are talking, I can tell by talking to you that we're making a connection and you're talking to me and telling me the truth.
Right.
I don't know if it's someone that I'm only watching through Zoom. Is this a deep fake? Is it, the stuff that's capable now, you can still kind of tell, right? You can, especially, they have 6 fingers or there's weird stuff that shows up or the eyes don't look quite right. But I think people will want to know that they can reach out and touch someone to say, yeah, you're real. Okay. You're real. I trust you. And I think that's what's going to happen. I think AI is great for process things like that, but that human connection, that people to people, that's going to become more and more and more important as AI becomes more and more and more used.
Yeah. And that's partly why we're kind of focused on having the AI to help the humans be more productive and better at what they're doing instead of trying to replace them.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Sheevaun. Really appreciate that you share all the insights and have a great discussion with me.
Oh, you're more than welcome. I enjoyed it.
What is a good way for people to get in touch with you if they want to?
They can get in touch with me through my website. It's just SheevaunThatcher.com. They can reach out to me on LinkedIn, right? It's just linkedin.com/in/Sheevaun. Right. They can reach out to me through email. It's just Sheevaun@gmail.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah. And for mine, it's pianpian@amotionssync.com. And I'm also available on LinkedIn. And we have a website that people, emotionssync.com, people can use as well. Thanks so much. Again, really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.